All right, welcome back to the show, and good afternoon to you, sir. We are joined once again by my friend and colleague, Devin Payne.
It's good to be here.
It is good to have you back. Now, the first time you were here, we had such a fun time talking about old technology, which was great in its time, but the journey of modernization in how we watch movies, which I think everyone can agree it has come a long way and it's been a benefit for everyone. We then compared that a little bit to this print environment and the journey of the modernization and how it's lagging a little bit behind. And we just started to touch on really the bread and butter of who Vasion is, which is intelligent print automation and things that go along with that. And so we want to pick that up today. Any other thoughts on the recap from our first episode that our listeners should remember before we dive into what you've got for us?
No, yeah, I think you nailed it. It's really thinking about what has Netflix done that a VCR couldn't do, like the flexibility, the ability to scale, the ability to have a massive library that you didn't have before. Like those same concepts apply to the print world, and it's going to be fun to kind of dive more into that today. One other thing we kind of mentioned a little bit was this notion of like a print tax, right? Like you're paying on top of something. And so there's this, you're trying to do print, you're doing it for your organization, but because you have this old, outdated infrastructure, you're paying more than you should, and you may not even see it. And if you're a large organization, that just amplifies and amplifies the more and more employees you get, because that means more infrastructure, more time wasted. And so we talked about how people are paying that tax and they may not know it. So I'm excited to jump into what we're doing about that, because that's what we think about all day long.
Yep. And I like that we applied it to something that just about everybody can understand, which is taxes, right? Whether it's taxes from a paycheck, taxes on things we buy, taxes on gasoline. We get it. A tax is an additional charge. And Vasion has found a way to really reduce how much people are paying, should be paying for some of these products and services. Now, I've had the fortunate opportunity here at Vasion to work both on the product side and now as well on the marketing side. And I got to tell you, in all of my research and all the things that I've done working with, whether it's review aggregators, search engines or generative engines, intelligent print automation. This is not a common term. In fact, I don't know that this is a term that even really exists as far as categories go. So let's start there. What is IPA?
Yeah. So it's kind of a paradoxical term, right? When you think of intelligent and print, it doesn't really go together. When you think of automation and print, it may not feel like it goes together. And that's the cool thing about Vasion, is that we started this journey 12 years ago, and we thought way, way ahead, knowing that print was going to have to lead to something bigger, was going to have to lead to a document, which was going to have to be digital, which was going to have to move around. And so the fact that our infrastructure was built that way so that we could help other companies is really exciting. And the fact that we're hitting the market right now in this time where AI has made everything explode, we're all using AI. It's making the speed of efficiency just go through the roof. We're now talking about what is intelligent print automation. So intelligent print automation is just that. It's sandwiched between intelligent and automation. When you think of print, that is typically where really, really important documents are coming, right? You think of contracts, invoices, labels, things that businesses need to succeed. We actually just had a customer with us today at our conference who said, if I didn't have Vasion, I wouldn't be able to do business. It was that big of a deal.
Wow.
So yeah, intelligent print automation is that. It's going beyond just print to say, what is this document? How can I save it to the appropriate place, extract data from it that's searchable, usable, and then I can use that document in many different ways, in workflows, in a storage, digitally, or I can just do the printing that I need to do. But I want to get into a little bit more on sort of like three core concepts that make up IPA. We've talked a lot about Modernize, right? We talk about, do you remember our first slogan at Vasion that kind of put us on the map?
Eliminate print servers.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the big one. That's the one that if you're listening, you may know us for that. We started that a long time ago. That was just step one of this kind of journey of intelligent print automation. Eliminating print servers is the first step of modernizing your print infrastructure. So you get rid of all your infrastructure, like we talked about, VCR to Netflix, right? Get rid of all that infrastructure, and that opens you up to be remote, to be automated, to drive efficiency in your business, to scale. And then also on top of that, making sure that you're agnostic. I don't know if you've worked with any companies. Have you ever worked with a company that's been through a merger or acquisition before?
I haven't, not personally.
So we just talked to a healthcare company here in St. George who said in the last year they had gone through 8 acquisitions of health clinics in 1 year. And what do you think happens to a company's print or just IT infrastructure when you add a new company every month?
Gosh, I have to believe that you are adding complexities in the systems that are used or the systems that are needed, trying to understand who's in charge of what, who reports to whom. I have to imagine that's on the border of chaos.
And that's what we hear. It adds complexity. It's hey, we use Epic, but we use Oracle. We use Notion, but we use Asana. You have to decide, what are we doing with all of our, even just printers. We use HP, we use something else. So you have these companies coming together, and then you have to decide, how do we handle all of this complexity? So part of modernization means being completely agnostic with your operating systems, with your manufacturers, with your IDP providers, so that no matter who it is, no matter what company comes in, Vasion as a platform can serve all of that. So modernization means getting rid of infrastructure and making sure that your whole environment can be used on a single platform and that you're not stuck to a single manufacturer, a single operating system. And that's part one, is modernization. So that's what we've done for quite a while, and we're known for that, kind of our end user print modernization. Step 2 to IPA is consolidation. So I don't know if you know this. We have 440 employees here at Vasion. Take a guess of how many pieces of software we use at Vasion.
52.
That's a great guess. Yeah, I love it. So close. No, not at all. But no, no, that would be kind of my guess. I'd be like, yeah, that feels right. I think in Slack and Notion, all those things. We use over 800 pieces of software. It's almost 2 per employee.
Whoa.
So you can imagine, as an IT director, like, what is on their mind consistently is, I need to consolidate all of this software that I'm using so that I can just get a hold of it, right? I mean, they try to talk to each other. Notion talks to Slack, and they Google, and they try to talk to each other. But the fact that it's not on a single platform still causes a lot of issues, right? And or a lot of integration work. So the other thing that we knew had to happen with IPA was we had to consolidate. And that means consolidating your employee printing, your end user printing, your system printing, like your ERP or your EMR, and also guest printing. Getting all of that in a single platform so that you can see it in one place is extremely important, especially for those very complex environments that we see. And then finally, the last sort of step of IPA is automation. So you have to modernize first, then you can consolidate all of your software into one platform, and then you need to automate. We know that the world is moving too fast for us to print out 500 documents, rearrange them in the right order, get the wet signatures, scan them back in, go back to your email, store them yourself. That's an actual use case that's happening with somebody that we know. Every single day, they print out a 500-page document, they reorder the document, and then scan it back in. And then they get their signatures and everything. That takes somebody about half of their day to do something that IPA could do in about 10 seconds. I mean, just think about the efficiency gains with that.
I cannot do that math, but it's a tremendous number.
Yeah. It's incredible to think of what this can do when you take the power of that document, the print, and tie it to an automation platform. Workflows that can go from there, signatures that can be ready to sign digitally and stored without ever having to be printed if you don't need to. So it's really, really powerful. But the really important thing about IPA overall is how it's all wrapped in world-class security. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot because I think you just talked a little bit about FedRAMP.
I sure did.
What do you know about FedRAMP? Like we just became FedRAMP authorized.
I do know a little bit about this. I know that we just became FedRAMP High authorized, which has been a tremendous process for our company. Close to 2 years it took to get the certification. And I know that there are organizations within our country that simply cannot purchase a solution if they are not authorized. There are certain government agencies, but there are non-government organizations that also look for that certification because they have to have that level of security.
Absolutely. Yeah, you nailed it. Like there are maybe 70 companies in the world that are FedRAMP High authorized. And so we knew that as we're taking all of this data, all these important documents that we talked about, contracts, invoices, we're going to move that to the cloud so that everyone can have the benefit of that flexibility, the efficiency, AI. But we knew we had to be wrapped in world-class security. So we are FedRAMP authorized. We are ISO 27000, 42000, and then SOC 2 Type 2 certified as well. So all of that gives assurance to our customers that, hey, not only are you getting all the benefits of cloud, you're getting the highest level of protection that we could even muster. So all of that together, I know that's maybe a long definition, but if I were to shorten it, it's modernization, consolidation, and automation all wrapped in world-class security.
And those three things together constitute what Vasion is doing and is creating in the market, which is intelligent print automation.
Absolutely. And the way this differs from others, right? You think of digital transformation has been around for a while. There are job titles of digital transformation. It's been said all over the place. But the big difference between us and others, when you think of other digital transformation companies, they are taking you from A to Z. They're saying, all right, make this big jump. Just digitize everything you have, and in about 4 or 5 years, we'll get you up and running. We promise we'll have everything digitized. Figure out the print stuff on your own. But for a time, before you can get all the departments on board, all your vendors on board, all your customers on board with this new process, you're going to be in between. You're going to have physical workflows on one side, digital workflows starting to crop up, and all that information is not going to talk to each other. And you're not going to be able to see what that information is. You're not going to know who printed what workflow went here, how to tie that data together, where it's stored. One's going to be in a filing cabinet, one's going to be in, Google storage. So it's digital transformation. A lot of people jumped the gun and they said, we want to take you all the way here to the end of the road. IPA does not do that. IPA takes what you already know, habits that you already have, like Control P. I think everybody in every company knows how to print. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Maybe the printer doesn't always work, but they know the action, right? They know how to click File, Print. That is an action that we all know. Imagine if that's the only action everyone in our company needed to start building automations. Other companies are saying, build a workflow, do this, and then you have to learn something new. You have to connect all these dots, and you have to, it's just, imagine somebody who's been with a company for 30 years saying, all right, now you need to start building these workflows. You build these 5, and I swear things are going to work out for you really well. Or click File, Print. This document is going to read what it is. It's going to extract the right data. It's going to store it in the right place. And if you want it signed or whatever, it's going to do that on your behalf. Click File, Print, walk away. Click Scan, walk away. That's powerful, right?
That is incredible. And I think it's interesting that you in Vasion, we're really trying to meet customers where they are, rather than saying, just trust me to get you somewhere years down the road and just endure the pain in the meantime. Those are two very different approaches to the same end goal, which is digital transformation.
Yep, absolutely. You're printing and you're automating on the same platform. You have one vendor, one CSM, you know, this company grows with you as you go. So the departments that are still wanting to do their physical workflows and the departments that are wanting to really go all in on digital can all be done in Vasion with all the visibility, all the reporting that you need, and just a very, very simple way to manage from a central location globally because it is cloud ready and completely secure, as we mentioned.
So this is interesting because now what we've uncovered, it would seem, is not only is there a print tax due to antiquated infrastructure, but you might also have, in a sense, a digital tax where if you're duplicating work because you have a physical workflow as well as a digital workflow, or if you have a process that requires somebody to do a manual process so that it can then be done digitally. So if we're having to duplicate work, then once again we have an expense. It might not be money necessarily, but time, resource. It just seems to enhance the tax
Yep.
in this transition period that's supposedly getting them to digital transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got, and when we look at the numbers, this is like a bell curve, right? You've got a small side that is still doing all paper workflows. You have a really small side that believes they're doing all digital workflows. They still have some paper workflows. But then the bulk of the middle has somewhere in between. They have some physical with some vendors or something that they do, and they have some digital. That's about 75 to 80%. And most people are in this zone, and what they're doing to solve it is multiple vendors, multiple workflows. What we're saying is intelligent print automation means one vendor, one platform, grow with it as you fully digitally transform. And that is why we believe so much in make digital transformation attainable for everyone, not for the elite few, not for those that are willing to change all their habits, for everyone. For grandma who can click file print, she can start adding to your digital transformation journey at your company.
And that is the thing. I think all of us we've had to learn something new, whether it's transitioning from, the phone on the wall with the really long cord to a cell phone or new software updates, meeting someone where they are. Not just an IT director, not just a systems administrator, not just a CIO. They might understand things at a level that your end user doesn't. But knowing that if I'm the employee and I can go to control print, file print, and it gives me the options that I need, that's a big deal.
Absolutely.
That is a huge deal. And so I'm going to ask you, what have you seen or what's been some feedback that you have gotten about this thing? What kind of confidence to somebody who's listening and maybe is new to Vasion, what kind of confidence can they have that intelligent print automation is it's not just some catchphrase that we came up with. This is actually working.
Yeah. I mean, we have now over 15,000 customers. So we get to see it firsthand every day, which is so exciting. We actually got to speak to many of them firsthand today. But of those 15,000 customers, our retention rate is 96%, which is absolutely insane. It's people, they feel it. It just works for them. And so they don't want to leave, and they don't have to. There's a future for you at Vasion. You don't have to get to a single point and then jump to another vendor. And so they stay. When we look at our average ROI per customer, it's over 200%. So you've got people that are staying, they're seeing their efficiency, they're seeing their money paid back, they're able to grow with it. And so all of that leads to just a really positive experience overall for the platform. And the cool thing is, like, we're just scratching the surface of what you can do with the AI we're embedding with what we call Vi. Now you can create forms just with natural language. In next year, or now it's this year, it's January. This year, you're going to be able to use your voice and say, create a form for a zoo permission slip, and it will send it out to all of your students. get a signature, get it back for you, which would have taken months before, something you can get done in seconds.
So no more permission slips getting lost in backpacks and forgotten to be signed. And yeah, no, it's incredible. And I'm glad that you touched on AI, because it is everywhere. And there is a lot of hype around it, and there are some incredible things that we're seeing take place with AI. I was recently at a conference, a software conference, and so many of the vendors were talking about the functionality that they have in their products with AI. Vasion is no different. I actually got to play around with it recently. I got from start to finish. I was in kind of a test environment, and I got to see some of the things that our Vasion AI Vi can do, and it's remarkable. And one of the things that we've talked about before, coming onto the podcast is, and I think you touched on it, we're not just a good solution now, we're setting you up for the future. And I've heard the term future proof, which I don't know that I'd go so far as to use the word proof. I don't know. It leads to interesting conversations, but we are preparing companies to be ready for what can come in the future. Any thoughts there about if somebody, again, listening in, somebody's trying to make a decision, do I go with this intelligent print automation company? Talk to how does that affect them in the future?
Yeah, I mean, again, we're talking about using these habits that and so you click file print, it kicks off a workflow, and you're going to get used to the fact that you can click file print and your thing gets signed, sealed, delivered, and stored in a place. I promise you're not going to want to go back to any other way of doing it once you experience that. I think we did talk about this in the last podcast where I was working at eBay when Amazon came out. They made 1-day delivery thing, and it killed my soul. But now everyone expects it, right? 1 day and you can't go back. Being future ready means partnering with a company who is aspirational, a company who wants to continue to be 1, 2, 3 steps ahead. I don't want to talk negatively about any of our competitors, but Vasion as a company thought about all of what's happening now years ago. And the fact that we built infrastructure to prepare us to be in the cloud, really in the cloud, not just moving servers to the cloud and saying we're in the cloud, but being cloud native, has set us up to be ready right now and have a head start. And where we believe others are catching up to us, we're taking now 5, 10, 15 steps ahead now, and they're going to have to keep catching up. And so we have thought about the future. We have a very aspirational company with a bunch of aspirational leaders. And so that is leading to us really thinking about the future ourselves, which means that our product is really future-proof, future-ready for our customers.
It's an incredible thing. I've been very fortunate to be a part of this company coming up on 3.5 years now, and I have seen what it's done for our customers, for our partners. I recently had a partner on the podcast, and he was talking about just how exciting it is, not just because of our new innovations or like FedRAMP High authorization, but just working with a company who is so willing to dive in. That was what he said. He's like, Vasion is always willing to dive in. And it's been a remarkable thing. And I'm very excited to see intelligent print automation really start to become a category that information technology teams and even end users are familiar with, because this is a game changer.
Yeah, it really is. And it's fun to talk about. I love talking about it because it's not asking people to do much, and it's just all this stuff happens in the background for you, and you get this amazing result. And that is what you can do when you tie this print function that's already there to the future of automation and intelligence all on a single platform. The possibilities are endless.
Incredible. Devin, thank you so much for being with us today. So it's always a pleasure to hear from you. And we're excited to move into 2026 with intelligent print automation.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it, Shannon. It was great to be here with you.
Yeah, thanks again.